Hey everybody, I'm back and there we go. And we are going to be doing a book review on The Subtle Beauty. And I'm trying to get it, there we go, on The Subtle Beauty. This is another book by Miss Anne Hunter. And basically this is a Frederick Kelty retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I was about to say Swan Princess again, that's the other book. So the first part of the book, pretty much the book as a whole, is a sequel to Moonlight. So you're going to see a lot of familiar characters. You're going to meet some new, unfamiliar characters. Now, what I liked about this book is that, you know, there's a history, there's familiar characters, and it's not a dull, happy ending. But that's also what I don't like about this book. I was so upset to find out that our two favorite characters, Xander and Alwyn from Moonlight, do not have the happy ending that they want. Now, much later in the book, our newest character, Colin, the son of a falconer, says something that resonated with me throughout reviewing the book, writing the book, and making this video right now. He says, "You can't get the happy ending that you want. But this is what's going to happen right now." And I'm like, ouch, because we all want a happy ending. And when it came to Xander and Alwyn and, them finally getting together, sorry if that's a spoiler, I was hoping that after all the trouble that they went through with Silas Mortis and Siayat, I believe how you pronounce her name, the handmaiden from the first book, that, it was all over and maybe he was going to slay some dragons and be happy. In this book, these characters, it's a stark contrast from the sweet, wonderful Xander that you may have read about in Moonlight. And in The Subtle Beauty, he's like this super crazy, overpowered person. Now, if you've ever taken an English lit class, the idea of weapons, talking, encouraging, humming, and, you know, coaching people is not a new concept. So in A Subtle Beauty, this is something that comes up at least twice in the story. Well, not twice as in one, two, but there's two different sections where we have objects that are speaking to people, that are changing their personalities, that are making them do things that they may or may not want to be doing, or just bringing out a dark side in them. So, I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible. And I apologize ahead of time if there's spoilers. And here's my disclaimer. So as you know, I am the book review queen, and I'm always on Toma Sun applying for things. So, as with Miss Hunter's other two pieces of work, I applied to read A Subtle Beauty. I was accepted, and in exchange for a free copy of the ebook, I was asked to give my opinion on Amazon, to post me using the ebook on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and also to write a blog post and record for YouTube, which I'm doing right now. So with all that out of the way, I'm also supposed to be using the hashtag Crowns of the 12. And in the bottom of the description, there is a link to the book itself if you're interested in buying. Now let's get to the meat. Okay, so synopsis. Ooh, big word. Okay. So the synopsis is that Xander, our hero from Moonlight, is desperate to find something to give his unborn son. And he doesn't have that much to offer. A, because the dowry that Alwyn came with is not a lot because her country was waged with war. B, Blackthorn Keep, where he is from, doesn't have a lot to offer as well. So basically, he doesn't have much to give to his son, and he can't go around to places like Winterhome, to High King Balthazar, to ask for his newly born daughter's hand in marriage. A, because Alwyn's blood is brand new and it's not old enough, and B, it would be an insult because he ain't got nothing. So he's desperate. He's trying to figure out a way how to get something for his son, essentially the 40 acres and a mule, or, just to have something. A prince giving his child nothing, and he's born into nothing. It just didn't seem right to him. So he becomes desperate, and the only thing that he can think of is to take over other lands. And nobody wants to do that, but there is no other way for him to get these things for his child. So, in super duper crappy fashion, the last person that this family should ever be dealing with, Silas Mortis, answers the call. He gives Xander this big, beautiful sword called Edegwyatt or Edegwyatt. And it's got an obsidian blade, it's got rubies, a screaming mouth, and the mouth looks like it's on fire. And the sword is singing to him, humming to him, calling his name, saying, "Yes, baby, come to me, come and touch me." And he comes and he touches it. And he's touching it like, ooh, yeah, I'm touching it. Hey, baby. And this sword is already changing his personality. He hasn't even left the bog yet. He goes to the bog to get this sword. He ain't even left the bog yet. And the sword is already making him feel some kind of way, making him feel strong. And he's waving it around in the air. And Silas Mortis is trying to tell him, "I'm trying to make a deal with you. Can you chill for a minute?" So he makes a deal with him. And essentially the deal is, for you to have nations falling to your feet, you need to kill. And at the same time that this vision is coming to Arwen about what Xander's about to do, to saying he's walking a path of darkness, he needs to be stopped, she pays no mind. The gods have already come to her and said to her, "You're going to have a gorgeous son. His name's going to be Yagan, and he's going to rule the crown realm, and it's going to be in peace." And she's feeling good about that. But the second vision, she's like, "No, that's not my Xander." So Xander goes on this 3-week binge with his sword, and he's slashing up people and killing folks and pillaging and taking, and he's already becoming this tyrannical figure. All the while, his wife is going through heck, and she's pretty much technically chopped liver. Now, in comparison to how they're holding hands and they're kissing by the lake, and "You're my beloved, and we're going to be together," this is a huge contrast. He is choosing the sword and power over his wife. He hasn't even talked to his wife about this, by the way. It isn't until he comes back from his first visit, and these guys are attacking the castle, and he saves her after slicing them up. And he's like, "Oh, I went to Silas Mortis's campgrounds, in the bog, and I got this sword." And she's like, "Dude, all the stuff we went through in the past, this is the last person that you need to be dealing with." Xander doesn't listen. So this is how you know his personality is already changing from this weapon. Like I said, he goes away for 3 weeks. He's killing, he's pillaging, doing all this crazy stuff. Meanwhile, the guys come back and they show her this vision of Xander, and he's burning a cathedral. He's destroying the town. He's killing people. And he says, the guys say, "Either you stop him or we gonna curse everything." So, and this is the part that really broke my heart, Arwen sacrifices herself. She doesn't want her son to be cursed. She says, "Spare my child. Please don't take Xander. Take me." So she goes into labor immediately. For the next 3 days, she's in labor. Hard labor. Xander comes back. He has to cut his wife open to save the baby. Arwen dies. So he's got this son in his hand, and the son is a orange fuzzball. He's a mess. And in the same contrast, where Xander was the thorn in his father's side, he has his child now who is less than beautiful, and now he's the thorn in his side. So that's that half. The second half of the story has to deal with 10-year-old Glory and her 12-year-old friend Colin. She, Glory, is the daughter of King Balthasar of Winterholm Castle. And you know the basic rules of being a kid in the forest in medieval times, or we're going to say it's medieval times. You don't play in the forest because there might be monsters, ghouls, fairies, all that stuff is in the forest. You just don't play in the forest. So, since this is 5 years later, and this is after Iaghan is born, a little backstory on that. The reason why that they don't want kids playing in the forest is because of Xander. So, I'm going to backtrack for a little bit. Xander has been using Edegwyatt for a long, long time. And the sword is jagged, it's messed up, and he has hung it on a display thing over his mantelpiece in Blackthorn Keep. He doesn't use it anymore unless he's going to kill the monsters. The monsters start showing up after he visits Silas Mortis. Silas Mortis tells him that these monsters are showing up because these are the dead people that you've killed. They've returned as monsters. So this is your fault. So you need somebody to protect you. This never comes to pass. And what happens when Xander is talking to Silas, he's trying to give him the sword back. So this fails, and in a great flash of light, the sword is destroyed and Silas Mortis is destroyed. So, got that out of the way. Fast forward back. Kids are playing in the forest. They fall, well, Glory falls into a hole. She meets up with a Donestra. The Donestra comes from Moonlight, and this is something that I left out in that review. Basically, the Donestra is a monster that was born of Silas Mortis and his lover, this woman called Siat, or Siat, which is going to abbreviate it. So the history there is he's supposed to be this new race of monster that's going to take over the island. This does not come to be, and you're going to find out in a minute. So Colin has been given this blade by his father. And the name is super hard to pronounce, so I'm going to call it Eyandiel. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. So anyway, his father gives him Eyandiel, and he says, don't lose it. And you know, he's a kid. He's like 12. He's going to lose it. So to protect his friend, he jumps in the hole. He stabs the Donestra in the eye. The Donestra falls backward. He forgets to get the sword back. He's a hero. Dun, 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 dun. 5 years later, he and Glory are a couple, and Glory is going through all the motions because it's her sister's wedding day. So basically, she and Colin have this idea that they're going to run away. Her father, King Balthasar, ain't having it, and he already knows that they're trying to run away. He stops that. So during her sister's wedding, he makes this announcement that she's getting married to Iaghan. Okay, so that's where I'm going to cut off the spoilers, because I got into this when I was writing the blog post, and it took forever to get the blog post out. So basically, the first half of the story is tragedy. The second half of the story is about a young girl getting over her vanity and learning how to love to break a curse. 2 curses. Her own internal curse and the curse from the first half. I did it. No more spoilers. So, what I liked about this book was that there was so much meat and backstory to it. You know, all the pieces were layered on top of each other, and somehow Miss Hunter found a way to put them together. And I thought that was just awesome. You know, it's very hard sometimes to keep a story in line, on track, with no discrepancies, with no, holes in the story and whatever. So she found a way to put everything together, and it all came together in the end. I was impressed, because I can't do that. I've been trying to write stories for a long time, and there's always a hole in the story. There's always something going on. You know, you have to go back and look over it. What she did was, she puts a line in the beginning where Silas Mortis says, your destiny is going to be intertwined with somebody else's. And that's a big, huge hint. And you're like, how? And then you find out in the second, third, and fourth half of the book. Now, this book is much longer than Moonlight, okay? It is much more longer. And I thought that was challenging at first because there were chapters that were an hour long, and I'm like, okay. But as I read and I got into it, I was happy for it. There's a lot of meat and there's a lot of information, but there's a lot of virtue within those lines. There are a lot of good quotes. Like I said, the quote about this is not your fairy tale and you can't have it the way you want. And my other favorite quote is from Xander. And he says that no woman, no good woman, no good girl is not worth the fight, or something like that. It's bad, I should know that. He says also that one who was afraid to touch the thorn should not crave the rose. So, he's trying to give Iaghan all this advice about what to do about Glory, because when they do meet, Glory has a horrible vanity about her. And throughout the story, we find that she's got to soften up. She's got to learn how to care for other people and consider their feelings. And she's also got to show Iaghan the love that his father did not show him. Going back to the first half, that is one thing that his father never showed him. And I found that peculiar because he knows what it's like to not get love and adoration from your father. And he was not born with a curse. He was not deformed. It was his father who had cursed him for killing his wife in childbirth. So I was kind of upset at the fact that Xander had become this dark and horrible person. But you have to consider the source. He went to Silas Mortis to get this big sword, and the sword changed who he was, and he was no longer the sweet teenage boy from Moonlight. He was a grown man, he was a broken man, and all that he fought for to get for his child did not bring him peace. And he ended up becoming a drunk. So all in all, I can't believe I'm here. All in all, Subtle Beauty is a pretty interesting, wonderful book. It is well written. I know I say that about all of Anne Hunter's works, but it's inspirational to a writer such as myself, and it gives me hope to keep trying and to keep writing. So to read her work and to see and to feel like it probably took her forever to get the folklore together, to get it right the way that she wanted to. And she kept everything in line, didn't dumb it down for the masses. That's very impressive. A lot of writers cannot do that. So, I give this book 4 stars. 4 because the length, gotta admit, it kind of slowed me down a little bit. And I kind of was upset that my favorite characters got a semi-unhappy ending. But I was pretty happy that the brand new characters, kind of in their stead, got to find their happiness. And I hope it stays that way. And that is my review. If you're interested in reading my complete review, which has a super long synopsis of everything that happens, please visit my blog at www.peridotdynasty.com.